We're heading to Old Chicago, one of the oldest cemeteries in Amador County, dating back to the 1840s. The gates are open. There is a long contested, many years of arbitration between the Supreme Court, the cattle rancher, and locals and historians who wanted to visit. So, I got good news, folks. We're going to be visiting Drytown Cemetery as soon as we're done with the mining camp of Old Chicago. We'll shoot up the road. We'll do the cemetery. We'll visit some of the old historic structures in town. And we'll call it a wrap. I'll probably put both Chicago Town or Old Chicago and Drytown together because they are sister communities within a couple miles walking distance. And the one was a mining camp as opposed to this was the main town site. Drytown, that is. While Old Chicago was the mining camp. Where? Come on, man. That's a lot of turkeys and babies running around. Every time I get out of the car, they always run for the hills and the grass. Like I don't want to see him. Wow. Second group of baby turkeys I've seen today. There are a lot of turkeys in this region, in Gold Country, folks. So you may see them while we're investigating these ghost towns. So it's very pretty country back in here, folks. And you know, doing these little mining camps and settlements are important. They're important to the work we do, the history write-ups, educational opportunities for these, see County Road. And it's gated. Wow. Yeah, I think we'll go back and try to look for another way into Old Chicago. What do you guys think?
I guess so.
Can't go this way unless you want to barrel through the gate, and I don't feel like doing that.
I feel like doing that.
My friend cracked his radiator going through a gate once.
Dang, really?
He did it. Well, there was somebody chasing us in Florida, and I told him, I was like, man, he's like, hold on. I'm like, because I told him, I'm like, man, we gotta go. I mean, he had a Jeep, smashed the gate open, and you know what? It actually busted the lock, but at the same time, he cracked his radiator. And, yeah, we didn't get very far. I got a few miles, and it started smoking, but we got away from the weirdo, man. There was, like, I don't know what the hell he had in the back of his truck, but they looked like aliens, dude. It was creepy shit. I'm telling you, we were, like, escaping. There was, like, he was back there, like, beating on you could see the shadows of some creature. It was creepy stuff, and then the dude started chasing us. It's government property, so something was going on up there. So sometimes it's better to just get away and not end up on someone's dinner plate, you know? But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of turkeys around this area. When I lived up here, it's all we did is see turkeys. I hit a turkey in the ass once going across the road. Boy, it moved after that. But you can see, folks, Drytown is rather dry. I mean, yeah, but back in the day, they had a lot of running water and placer gold. Not anymore. Drought's taken hold of the area. This is one, you know, if you don't take care of this, it's a fire hazard. And we got to consider this is still a wilderness area. I mean, there's turkey, deer, all sorts of wildlife, lizards. But we're gonna go to Old Chicago, and then we'll work on Drytown before sunset. Nice little haunted place. There's a lot of ghost stories, a lot of tales of shootings, tragedies, shootouts, death, murder, mayhem. Typical of ghost towns. Fire, life, death, success. I didn't see the old adobe house. It's one of the oldest in Amador County. I don't know where it is. Is that it right there?
It's an adobe house.
The foundation? Look.
Oh, there's a person out here.
First older structure, maybe a miner's cabin up here at Old Chicago. There are some old buildings, we just got to keep an eye. They're on private property, but you could still photograph them. Drytown, Old Chicago area. Yeah, dude. That's part of Old Chicago. There's not much remaining here in the town. It is a miner's cabin. I mean, yep. That's the head frame. Drytown has more. I mean, there's no... Don't want to get sidetracked. Right here is down. Kind of downtown. Bunker Hill, New Chicago. That's right, it was Old Chicago now they call it. They call it New Chicago. There's a head frame over there. Boo! Now it's ranching, no longer gold mine. We won't mess with these agitated cattle. Fremont, Gover Mine. The town was built around... Holy shit, dude, they are pissed. Founded prior to 1867 as a loyal Lodi. Founded prior to 1867 as a loyal mine, the Fremont Gover Company formed in 1872 and worked the Gover during the 1880s and 1890s. The Fremont shaft was sunk in 1903, including a 40-stamp mill, continued operation until 1918. Reopened in 1937 and worked until 1940. Fremont shaft was about 3,000 feet deep. The Gover was about 1,500 on incline. The total production of gold mine out of here was about $5 million. And this is the mill and mine site right here. All that's left of the historic town of Chicago. So the whole basis of Old Chicago was a mining camp back in the 1800s. And it continued in the 1900s as well. And there was Bunker Hill. You can see Bunker Hill. There's also a little mining settlement down the road called Bunker Hill. But all of it's non-existent. Drytown still stands today and is preserved, which is 2 miles down the road. It's hard to say. There's a couple miners' cabins still standing, and the head frame and some mill ruins, but that's about it. Not much remains today. I'm gonna try to get up to the head frame. We're gonna try to have a little barbecue. If not, I'll do it in the cemetery. Celebrate the dearly departed. See, there's the mill right there. Used to be a 40-stamp mill. Their shaft was 3,000 feet in elevation deep. That's all that remains.
As he saw it.
They're down in crabs.
Mice. Yeah, this is remains of the stamp mill. They had two shafts here. One was 1,500 feet, one was 3,000, and they brought $5 million in gold. This was a very wealthy mine. The mining camp of Chicago had wealth. They had money. Look at all the debris piles. You can see them among the head frame that's here. That's a decent sized head frame. I don't know if we can, I bet you, well, no, it's, yeah. Oh, man. Wow. How did the cattle eat this these brown grass and weeds? I mean, it cannot be tasty, man. For a cow, or to sit there and eat brown weeds with a lot of invasive weeds with pricklers on them. Oh, look, here's something right here, dude. See it? Yeah.
That looks like a bridge.
No, it's something concrete. Anything's worth photographing. There's not a lot remaining, but there is some stuff.
It's a two-story building. Sounds like a World War II bunker,
I don't know what that is. I didn't get a good photo. I have to get it on my way back because it's overgrown.
Yeah, you can't see it on the side.
It's all on private, yeah, it's all on private property. It's part of the ghost town, huh? There's nothing back here, man. This is amazingly nothing. Very narrow and fences on both sides of the road. What little remains of the town is probably on people's property, my guess is. Which kind of sucks, because I had hoped to walk up to some of it, but so goes life. A lot of cattle ranching in the area. A lot of farmers are like, nope, nobody's going on my land. They don't open it to the public. They could put the fence around it, so that way it doesn't, But they don't want to. Came across another mill site. I believe that, well, they had two vertical shafts. And so at the entrance of each shaft, they probably had a mill or some kind of mining operation with foundations. And we have foundations here It's some kind of head frame made out of concrete in this brush. And then further up the road is another head frame with a bunch of foundations to the 40 stamp mill. So there was a couple mills down in old Chicago. But it was it was a mining camp in the 50s, built around the Gover Mine. Some people said it had about 100 structures, other people say 20. But Arid Basin had a boarding house and a bar for the miners at New Chicago. I call it Old Chicago. I don't know why I keep doing that. I guess because it is pretty old. I mean, all you got left is foundations. There isn't nothing new about it unless you some of the more richer homes in the area. But it was built around the Gover Mine. And we'll talk a little bit more when I get down the road. Pretty cool. Inaccessible, though. Totally inaccessible. And it's all rural and country. Of course, what was a gold mining camp today is basic cattle ranching. Something's moving around. We get a mountain lion. It'd be cool. But you can see, I mean, obviously this might have been a head frame or a shaft of some kind. Here's looking at the head frame and some of the foundations and milling remnants from another angle. We're going to be visiting Drytown Cemetery in the semi-ghost town of Drytown soon. After I get some grub and cook out on the grill, right before sundown, we'll do the cemetery in town. It should be good. We should get some EVPs or some good readings. I mean, there are some haunted spots I want to visit. But as I was saying, Arid Basin in the town had a boarding house and a bar for the miners in New Chicago. Chef Jennings had a grocery store, and that was next to the Molson's Hotel. I guess the hotel was built in 1878, and it wasn't very large, but it had a kitchen in the rear. You know, the guests could probably sleep upstairs. And it was a large town. I've heard as many as 5,000 miners came here to camp and stay. Of course, if you could buy, it would sound about right if you could buy that with Drytown, which was a pretty big boom town 2 miles up the road. And so the miners would kind of live in shacks within a 2-mile radius of there on the hillsides, which I found one of the shacks. Some people say 10,000 lived here. Other people say a couple hundred. I don't know. But I know that from the 1800s and the 1900s, mining was productive here. And I'll see if I can find anything else. But looks like the last remaining remnants are the 2 mills. One mill's here and another mill's found a half mile up the road. So if you decide to come out here, you want to check it out. This is basically the intersection of New Chicago Road and Spanish Drive. From Drytown is where it's at, if you want to come check it out. And there's also a couple miner cabins on the hillside, so make sure you check those out as well. We're going to head to Drytown and finish off the evening. This is Lord Rick. Check us out. www.paranormalghostsociety.org. We are in cattle country. So now you got a small history on the basis for the existence of a town like this in the middle of nowhere practically. These foothills is along this area, Placerville, Jackson, Angels Cap. All these little towns along here are considered part of gold country. And there is gold in these hills. And if you dig down deep enough, there's millions of dollars of gold. And there was probably still gold down there if they started to begin mining it again. So, you know, the real gold today is cattle ranching. And there are cattle roaming around these foundations. But as far as gold mining and saloons and bars and hotels and boarding houses that were once at this very intersection, they've ceased to exist. On to Drytown, where I'll show you guys some buildings that do exist and that still stand preserved today, originally from the town. Peace. Look at that. More Tom the Turkey.
Oh my god, they're not turkeys.
Redheads. They got redheads or turkeys.
Those are not turkeys.
Drinking out of that water thing?
Yes.
What are those?
Vultures.
Oh, vultures! Good. My wildlife expert just informed me those are vultures. Oh, look! There's mill ruins right here, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, Jared, Tammy could take our picture, dude. Right here of the ruins. Wow, vultures, man, vultures, how cool. There's turkeys, there's vultures. And if you pan down the road, there's an old stone cabin, foundation. One of the oldest adobe structures in the Amador Counties is also found on this road up here. So it's definitely nice. It's very nice here. Folks, we have more foundations. There's 1, 2, 3. What appears to be abandoned milk house. There's a lot here. Not a lot, but there's plenty to see if you're willing to explore. Take some pictures and drive around and just look. And so that's about it for New Chicago. We're going to be going to Drytown. Every time I go further down the road, I see more. I film more. Only because I'm trying to document what's left here so people can kind of get an idea if they want to come up. I got other friends who are ghost town enthusiasts, and you might want to come up here and just take some pics of the foundation, some black and whites. I tend to do these places with an open mind and an open heart and realize that this is all that's left, so if it disappears, I might be the only one with videos and pictures. So I definitely try to get more people out here to see these places. A milk house maybe, or a shed.
Probably
They
The
got
horse.
They got one in each arena.
Oh, do they?
of the horse.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
Okay, because I know everything about farming. I'm a rancher now.
Yes, you do.
I'm a paranormal.
You lived on ranch.
This is the ranch right here. Dude, I don't know. I've never seen horses have their own house. You know what I mean? This is a nice little pretty place. I'm glad the horses have their own little home. But I'm going to Drytown, and I think that I found everything I could possibly find of New Chicago, including some vault up on a hill. But all this is on private property and ranch land, folks, so do not trespass. You know, I don't mind trespassing in abandoned buildings and places, but I don't go on people's farms. It's just rude to go walking around with people's cattle and horses and dogs, you know, and of course it is their home. It is their home, whatever. So, you know, you could stand by the fence, take pics. There's at least 8, 9 sites in New Chicago that you can photograph. And this happens to be one of them. You know, the nice foundations found out here and the head frame, and there's a bunch of foundations, but it's on the ranch site. So, but your camera will reach. I mean, everything's by the road. And then, of course, why not stop at Drytown? They have some awesome brews at the old 1800 saloon. It still stands today. And so you can have dinner in Drytown, explore some historic sites, maybe come down these back roads out in the hills and check out New Chicago. But we try to get people out. We try to get people to check out these places. It's Father's Day weekend 2016, so what better to spend a Father's Day weekend than a nice dinner at the Blackbeard Diner, then Saturday at Exploration in Gold Country. I don't want to hit the turkey. And then tomorrow go see X-Men Apocalypse on Sunday with a nice steak at home. I want you on my Thanksgiving table. I want you on my Thanksgiving table. Keep cooking that head. Cuckling, whatever they call it. I want you on my table, damn it. You get back here now. I'm hungry and I need turkey with gravy. Get back here. It's leaving me. None of the turkeys like me around here. None of them. I'm out of here, man. Can't make no turkey friends. But I'll make them my dinner. You know what I'm saying? He just kept walking away. It's like ignoring me. He didn't care. He wasn't even scared of me. Just walked right past him down the hill. Real slow. No, he wasn't scared because he knows I ain't got no bow and arrow. If I started shooting bows and arrows, I think that turkey would be flying, you know?
Running for its life, man.
Let's go to Drytown. It's known for having a bad rep back in the day. Shootouts, murders, mayhem. Huh? We're going to go to the park. We're going to have some sausage, some potato salad, some chips, some pudding, some pastry. We have a smorgasbord we're going to have. And then we're going to go to the cemetery. And then we're going to go down and take some pictures of some of the old... There's only like 6 buildings downtown. We're going to walk around the buildings. New Chicago. Is that a sign? How come they don't have one on the other side? Bet you some of these roads, back roads, have some foundations and shit. There we go. It says... Oh yeah, Plymouth's just up the road. That's another semi-ghost town. It's on my website. We have some pictures. there's about 50 mines, and most of them, not most of them, but some of them made millions of dollars. The Gover Mine had 2 shafts, and it was very wealthy. That's a miner's cabin right there. So another look at that miner's cabin. Pretty cool, huh? Wow. It's history, man. There's a rabbit. It's pretty deplorable, but it still deserves a little picture. I do our best to be thorough. There's a lot of barbed wire at the entrance, so you definitely don't want to go in there. Look at that. Bunch of old bottles. Oh yeah.